pass. Wilco makes a run ahead of him. Bergkamp suddenly changed pace through the centre. It's Bergkamp! That's magnificent! The move, and then this, which left Dabi's ass totally stranded.
Hello, dear listener and viewer and people doing neither, and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland. Yeah, I remember the days when there'd be an international break or we wouldn't be playing at the weekend, and the old ABW lot that are now currently busking on a high street somewhere trying to make a living, they would go, oh, let's not do anything this weekend. No, not the new ones. They're all happy. They say, let's do something. Let's get some product out there. That sounds like a little bit like we're selling crack to kids. That's not what we're doing. But we have got maybe one on Friday, a special show on Friday, a very short one with someone who's coming over to this country to see. Well, he's going to be here and he's going to come and see me. So he might do a preview show for half an hour on Friday evening before I take him out to dinner at the White Hart in God Manchester, if anybody fancies turning up. Right, with me tonight we have got Femi. How are you doing, Femi? You're looking full of food and satisfied.
Yeah, nice one. Yeah, I'm good. Ready to pod.
Can we say
football? I haven't spoken about football for 2 weeks, so I'm ready to talk about football.
Excellent. You've been penting up all your football aggression. Next up, we got Mr. LL Cool James. How are you doing, the Arsenal Wookie? That is so far not sticking, and I bet you hope it doesn't stick.
I don't mind. I've been called much worse, so I'm not bothered, man. It's all good. It's all good. A pleasure to be here. It's very rare that I get asked on, Danny, with people that I've never done a podcast with before, so this is fantastic. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, that is what I intend to do. Get new people on the pod that haven't been on for a while or haven't been on for a while. Michael from You Are My Arsenal is going to be coming up in a few weeks. And Mike McDonald is another one I spoke to, and he's now got his internet sorted, and he said he's going to come on. But talking of new people that have never been on before, it is Lottie from the Vic Acres, I'm not sure, Wonderland podcast. Now, they didn't steal our name. What they did, Vic Acres was the man who used to be manager of the Arsenal Ladies, and he was the man in charge when the Arsenal Ladies are the only team in probably English or world football to do the quadruple. They won the Champions League, they won the Premier League, they won the FA Cup, they won the League Cup, and did they win the Charity Shield at the same time? I'm going to say they did, even though if I don't know if they did or not. Lottie, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on, Danny. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Yeah, we did actually win. Did do the quadruple, and we didn't do a single game that season. We won every single game all through all 4 competitions.
Yep. So the rest of them just give up trying to catch up, and they're never going to be able to do it. It's never going to happen. Anyway, it's nice to have you on. Right, the first thing I want to talk about. We'll start with you, Femi. How do you feel about the football at the moment? Because we are it's almost like a fake interlull where nothing's happening while stuff is happening in a transfer window with no transfers. I mean, it's a doozy of a pickle, to say the least, isn't it?
Look, if I went off mute, that would be a good start for the day, wouldn't it? You know what? Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? Because this is only the second of these mini winter breaks that we've had, because the first one we had a couple of years ago, and then last year we couldn't have one because of the World Cup, which everyone's forgotten about already. But yeah, we were just coming off a World Cup, so we didn't have this mini winter break. So it was a bit strange seeing sort of 5 games last weekend, and then this weekend is only 5 games, and Arsenal are, I'm guessing, the first game up this weekend as well. So by Saturday, we'll be done and dusted with our Arsenal. And that's our first game in 2 weeks. And we don't have another game for about another 10 days after that as well. So it's a bit of a very weird period to be supporting Arsenal, especially now that we're out of the FA Cup. We basically only got 1 more game in January after, 2 more games, and that's it. We're done for January.
Is that worrying? Is that going to ruin? I know it gives us time to get players back from injury and to bang people's heads together and remind them how to actually play football, how to defend, and how to possibly score goals. Do you think that's enough time? Because we've seen the pictures of them all out in Dubai. My dad was in Dubai. He didn't say he met any of them. And are they going to come back fixed? Because God knows it's a mess. Imagine if we lose against Palace, 4 losses in a row. Arteta's never lost 4 in a row.
No. I think the break, everyone needed the break. I think players need. I don't think any players are coming back from the pictures that we've seen. I don't think Partey's back. I don't think, Timber's definitely not back. And we seem to have lost, or Zinchenko's gone missing as well. If you notice, he hasn't been in any of the training pictures, and he was injured before the break. So he's back on his little calf strain injury, which is another worry. So it looks like not much will change by Saturday in terms of team-wise. I don't think. I think we'll pretty much get the same team that we had when we were playing last time out. So yeah, like you're saying, it's a really, really quiet period.
So are you hopeful that when they come back, things are going to be back to the way they were?
I think it's just confidence. If someone gets an early goal, I think we'll be all right on Saturday. If it goes longer and longer, obviously with missing chances again, obviously it doesn't matter how much warm weather training you've been doing. It's all psychological, isn't it? If you go into the game by half time, you've had the same amount of chances as you had against Liverpool, and you've missed all of them again. Or it could flip the other way where you score one early and by half time you're 4-0 up, which is not an Arteta Arsenal side likely, but it's one of those things, isn't it, where once they get that first goal, I think that the floodgates could open, just to give them that relief, that confidence, and I think we'll be all right if we get that early goal.
Hopefully. James, how do you feel about it all? Are you in a slightly more downcast mood like I am, where I've almost forgotten what football is and I'm just living my life playing Football Manager? I'm about to do my 6th consecutive Invincibles.
Wow, nice. Good man.
It's not real life, though. It's just keep telling me.
Doesn't matter. Keep getting it on, get it on your CV. Look at that Will Steele guy. He done quite well just by being someone who did Football Manager quite well. So, yeah, get it on the CV, mate. For me, I agree with Femi in a way. I wanted the break. After that month, we had such a bad month that I was like, you know what? I don't want to watch any football if I can help it for as long as possible till we're back. So take some time away. Because it got into a meltdown. I mean, today I work in quite a high-rise building, Danny, and I saw people saying that this is the right time to sack Arteta and to get Jose. And I nearly threw this out the window of the high-rise building because it just releases nutters. I mean, yes, have I got reservations about our manager and opinions about our manager? Yes, but I'm not at the point of let's sack him. I think the fact that we're even in a conversation still is because of this manager. So I think it's absolutely ludicrous, some of the takes that are going on there at the moment. But yeah, we definitely need significant improvement, Danny, up front. I don't think anyone doesn't believe that. And I think as well, if you're looking objectively at the window, nobody's moving up at the moment. Nobody's moving. Nobody's doing anything. And part of me thought, is that because they're waiting for this outcome of what happened this week to Everton and Nottingham Forest, because they were analysing every club. So maybe every club thought, well, hang on a sec, we could be dragged into this. So now that they know that the rest of the clubs know that they're clear per se, it's just a case of, well, who's going to be the one to lump and who's going to be the one to move. But for me, I think there's at least maybe 4 or 5 players that we've got at this squad that the manager doesn't trust, yet they're still around. And there's no significant links for any of those going, apart from one, which is obviously Cedric to Besiktas. And that worries me as well, because part of me thinks, okay, if we're not moving for anybody in, at least get these ones out, because you're paying a significant wage to these people who, let's face it, now that we're only in the Champions League and the Premier League, how many games are they realistically going to play? Probably none. So why are we keeping them around? It just seems like a waste of time and money for me.
Yeah, this is we need to use this transfer window to get players out that may not have gone or didn't go last summer, might not go the next summer. Players that are going to come in and do a job like El Neni, like Cedric, or teams are going to go, well, we need someone who can do left back, right back. We need someone who can cover in midfield. Whereas in the January in the summer transfer window, they can just go, well, these are our plans. This is what we're getting. So someone who emergency needs a couple of players, that's the ones that they might go for, hopefully. So there was talk of El Neni also going out to, he's been on loan there a few years ago, and I think he likes it there. But he's busy playing central midfield at the moment with Egypt in the Cup of Nations, and I think they got a last-minute draw with a dodgy penalty. Lottie, how do you feel about the whole situation at the moment? Are you frustrated with it all? Do you think that someone needs to give somebody a poke or get something going? Because like James was saying, it is a domino effect. But I was listening to AC Jimbo and that lot, and they were saying they think it's going to be a January transfer window full of loans because no one can afford to buy any more players.
Yeah, because everybody's being watched. It's like walking on eggshells. They don't know what to do. It's going to be loan after loan after loan, especially when you look at clubs like Chelsea. I think there's going to be a few from ours, and then the lower clubs are probably going to loan out to the Championship. But it's. I think once the outcome from Forest and Everton have come through, that's when people are going to make their decisions on what they're going to do before, and then it's going to be a last-minute rush at the end of the window to get everything done, because it's a case of we don't want to get caught up in what Forest and Everton have. But it's going to be. I think more than anything for me, as much as it seems like a good idea, it's the fans that are going to suffer. Your working class and lower are the ones who are going to suffer and not be able to go to games anymore. And the poor man's game is going to be made for the rich man.
Well, that's the way it's headed. That's the way. If they could, they'd have nothing but executive boxes and prawn sandwiches all the way, which is why when I'm in charge of the Arsenal, when I buy the club, the executive boxes are going. They're all going to go, and all the food is going to be from Aldi, and everyone can afford a hot dog. I've not put much thought into that, so someone needs to save me. So are you hopeful, Lottie, that we're going to bring somebody in, or do you think it's just going to be a matter, like James saying, possibly getting a few out, because we're not going to be buying Vlahovic, are we? Or I think you said Luca Tony. That's not right, is it?
I think maybe a loan deal is on the table. Maybe on the table for the rumor that's been around for about 10 years. And that is Benzema. I can probably see that happening, but I would have taken him 3 years ago when he was having a good run, but not now. That's the only thing. That rumour, it's like you see it come up as soon as the window opens, and it's just like, great. But I think at this point, that is our best option for me, personally. But whether it happens or not is very, very unlikely.
Femi, you looked a little bit disgruntled there when Lottie said Benzema on loan. Do you not want the pensioner at the Arsenal?
No, it's not even that. It's why would he give up? I mean, Jordan Henderson just did, but why would he give up 700 grand a week to come and play in a cold Arsenal? I get he's not happy there or whatever, but if I was him, I'd just sit on my contract. I mean, he's like 36 years old. He's not he's not playing for his national team. It's not like Jordan Henderson, who actually is trying to play in the Euros. So he didn't mind ripping off his contract. Benzema's can just, he's probably signed like a 3-year deal on 700k a week. I would never walk away from that at that age. He's done. He's done with Europe, to be honest, I reckon.
I thought it was on like about 2 million a week, or 2.6 million or something.
Is he? Oh, I don't even know.
Yeah. Him, Ronaldo, and one other, Neymar, they're all on multi-millions per week, according to. I was keeping track of it when all the newspapers were doing the details of all the contracts and things. But yeah, he's not on 700 grand a week. I don't think he'd move for that. He must have been on 400,000 a week at Madrid. Would you have him at the club, James?
Benzema?
Yeah.
No. No.
Why?
I've never really liked him. Not for me.
Is it because he's got that northern bloke who does the TV show with the gingery bloke who's got the bandage on his hand? Is that putting you off?
No. I just I've never. For me, I think Benzema's thrived in teams that have tremendously high output, and I think that for us at the moment, he doesn't suit us really. And yeah, there's, like Mr. Waffles has said, there's parts there of his life that I don't agree with, and I wouldn't like someone at Arsenal that's got that sort of mark against his name.
But you could say the same about Ivan Toney.
It's two different things, two completely different things.
Go on.
Well, are we allowed to mention it on a podcast? I mean, he did. He didn't get charged for it.
No, I know what you're on about now. Thank you for that pause.
But we all know what he did.
Yeah.
And Lottie, you might know something I don't know. As far as I know, I've not heard of Ivan Toney ever having anything like that marked against him.
Well, it's not that, but it's a case of him being charged and why he's been banned. Personally, I don't want a player like that in my club because you don't know if he's going to do it again and get caught.
It was a very stupid thing to do.
He's got that same sort of cocky attitude as Aubameyang. And I was one of the very few that never wanted Aubameyang in the first place. I knew of his reputation. I knew of his attitude. And what he did in his previous club, he did to us. And I really don't want him. People will call me crazy.
I can't see him coming to Arsenal because he is just like Aubameyang.
I don't think he's an Arteta player.
Man.
I think Arteta would look at him and go, what he offers me in the short term, can I put up with, like what you've said there, his personality? I don't think he can.
It won't balance out the changing room. The changing room at the moment is balanced. As soon as you remove Aubameyang and Lacazette out of that situation,
the only thing is, are you not thinking that he does want? Maybe at some point, Arsenal are going to have to get a few different attitudes to just mix things up a little bit. Because I mean, it's all good having all these. You know, we love all our players, but I don't know, man. Like I look at Liverpool, I look at a Darwin Núñez. He's an absolute prick. You know, he's a prick. You probably wouldn't want him in your team. Think about this. I was listening. I don't even know what show I was listening. He doesn't score a lot of goals, does he? But he causes enough drama and enough mayhem that you would take him in your team, wouldn't you? And I think we put so much currency on goals in our team because we just don't get enough goals. That's the only thing. But I don't know. And I've not watched Ivan Toney enough. I've only watched him. I'm not really a Brentford watcher personally. I've seen him play against us for sure, and I saw him absolutely dominate both of our centre backs.
He bullied
in
everyone.
That last game. Absolutely, and that was Saliba as well. He bullied Saliba and Gabriel alone, single-handedly in that game. And I've seen him do it against Man City as well. When Brentford went to Man City and they won, I think it was 2-1, and he could have had a hat trick that day. It was just immense. So, I mean, I don't know much about him, but you know, he does seem like something different than what we've got.
Is that enough, though? Is it going to be, if he comes to the Arsenal, is Arteta going to try and change him to be one of the young men at the club who's going to behave himself? Because if you told Ian Wright in his prime, behave yourself, don't do what you do, it would have changed the kind of footballer that he is. And Ivan Toney is that kind of footballer where he is going to be a little bit cheeky, much like Aaron Ramsdale. Arteta doesn't like it with Ramsdale because you have that little bit of personal individuality, a little bit cheeky, a little bit of a naughty boy. And you can imagine not fucking Luca Toney, Ivan Toney. Gee, can someone change his name? Otherwise, I'm going to say Luca Toney all bloody night. I'm obsessed. So Ivan's going to come in, and you can imagine him coming in just wearing a pair of leopard print underpants and got his Crocs on, storming around the Emirates like he's the new king of the Emirates. But then if he played, he'd be on that pitch, he'd be doing the same thing there, bullying people, getting penalties, scoring goals, bossing the game, which we don't have at the moment, do we, James? And that's what we need. We need someone, but I don't think Arteta's going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, he does seem to, obviously being a disciple of Pep, he does seem to follow and take Pep's lead on a lot of things. And if you really it, Guardiola's never had a big personality type of player. If you remember, one of the first things he did when he got into Barcelona was like, right, Ronaldinho, Ibrahimovic, both of them, you got to go. You know, he didn't like having them around. Eto'o, he's got to go. And he's got one now in Haaland, and the output is completely. We've seen it. You know, 52 goals was it last season, and what have you. I don't know. I don't think Ivan Toney's going to score 52 goals for Arsenal. However, I do believe if he comes in, he will score a ton of goals. He will score a lot of goals for Arsenal, way more than what our forward line has produced currently. But again, I just feel in the long term, especially if Arteta's going to stay as the manager long term, I just don't see him as a person. I think there's a reason why we go young or we go for players that he's either had as either youngsters at City, or they played for City themselves, or they're players that, you know, like Trossard, Stuyvenberg had him when he was in Belgium. So there's always
the goalkeeping coach.
No, Stuyvenberg's the guy with the AirPods.
AirPod Albert.
Yeah, AirPod Albert.
Got it. Yes.
So there's, you know, again, like you said, the goalkeeping coach. There's the link there with Raya. You know, he recommended. I've forgotten his name. Runarsson.
Runarsson.
Yeah, and there's always a link there for someone. It's all very much on trust. And as much as I think they can trust Ivan Toney to score goals, I just think, like you said, there's glimpses of his personality that I don't think would gel with Mikel Arteta. I mean, he done an interview today, and I appreciate the fact that he actually is honest and goes, yeah, you know, I do want to leave this club because I envision myself winning titles and playing in the Champions League. However, I think after they've backed you for 8 months, where, you know, you've not been allowed to play because of stupid decisions of your own, which, again, you know, he didn't really ever admit to it. It was sort of like, yeah, I've done it and I got caught type thing. He never really gave any kind of remorse for what he's done, even though it's only gambling. And yeah, he's clearly got a problem. Hopefully he gets that sorted. But I think the right thing he could have done was, look, I'm happy because on Saturday I'm back for playing for Brentford. I want to thank the manager. I want to thank the fans. But at the end of the season, let's have a discussion. But the fact that he's now, and I know the transfer window's open, he's trying to get a move. I don't think any big team's going to buy him unless Chelsea, who, for whatever reason, and you know, we all know here it's true, they're looking at selling Broha to someone, Broha, whatever his name is, to someone in the league. Well, this is it. They'll get more money for him when he's barely scored or barely played than we'll get if we sell Nketiah, which is ridiculous.
Premier League hat-trick, 1 cap for England, and Nketiah will be lucky to get 5 million for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Over 5 years.
And yet Chelsea somehow seem to get all this. They seem to get all this money for all these players all the time. It's ridiculous.
Do you remember people are absolutely out, or people are saying, "Oh, you shouldn't have said what you said today," and all of that? I don't know if you guys. Do you remember when Ivan Toney was pictured on holiday and he was saying "F Brentford"? Does anyone actually remember that?
Yeah.
Because I think people have forgotten about that as well.
I do. I think that's still doing the rounds on TikTok, to be fair.
Exactly. Yeah.
What was the situation? What was it?
He was on holiday, and I think a fan was filming him, and I can't remember why he said, "Oh, F." He said, "Just F Brentford."
And then didn't he come out and say it was a dare or something?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
yeah, just to cover his backside.
Clearly doesn't want to play for Brentford at some point. He'll be gone this summer. I think there's no, like you're saying, no one has the funds to back up their talk this month. Everyone is counting their pennies and seeing what happens with all this FFP stuff. So I think this is a quiet January. I can't see. I think a lot of loan stuff will be happening near the end of the month, but it's all like see, the worst thing is, and the best thing maybe, I don't know, is you haven't even seen all the usual ITK people coming out and doing their rubbish this month. Because
they're too busy going, do you prefer the colour red or do you prefer the colour blue? Comment below to get their bloody interactions up the
Danny, they're too busy talking nonsense about the women's game when they know nothing. That's what they're doing. I mean, that Tikka-Taka Connor, for example, he drives me nuts. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
A lot of them don't. We see it all the time. It's very annoying. Lottie, who do you think we can? Like, are you like me, where you think we're going to get absolutely no one? Because partly because Arteta's stubborn, mostly because he is not going to get someone in if he's going to have Jesus and Nketiah there, and he's probably going to go. Manwari's going to be good in 5 years when he eventually gets a game. So, what do you think is going to happen with the transfer window?
Do you think? Are you talking about not signing anyone at all, or in terms of just an attacking player? Sorry,
no
Danny.
one. Nothing.
Oh no, we'll definitely sign somebody, but I don't think it'll be. I don't think it'll be an attack.
No, it won't. We need someone to cover that Zinchenko role where he can't really defend. We need a fullback. I can see that possibly happen, maybe alone. But I don't think we're going to be buying any attacking players as much as the fan base is screaming for it.
But you'd have Ivan Toney. Or Luca Toni. Would you have either of those two at the club?
I used to like Luca Toni was brilliant on Pro Evo, but I don't know what he's got. He's got to be late 40s now, surely.
Doesn't matter.
Maybe
he's better than Eddie.
Yeah, it could be.
Who would you go for to fix this problem, Lottie?
I have no idea. I wouldn't know where to start. I'll be honest with you, with transfer windows, I switch off. I just wait for it to blow over and then I come back to social media. I just can't cope with it. I wouldn't not have any idea who's on the market at the moment, if I'm honest with you. Not kept
We need
up
to
with
do
it.
something, don't we? We can't rely on Eddie. He's like I said, Eddie is this season, I think he's played 19 games and scored in 3 of them. And Jesus has played 15 games and scored in 3 of them. So between the two of them, they've played best part of 40 games and they've scored in 6 games between them. That can't carry on, can it? Because with the new style of football that Arteta's playing, changing, I don't know why you changed last season's football, but the new type of football we're playing means players like Odegaard is now no longer going forward like he was last season because Arteta's obsessed about Kai Havertz going forward and then trying to kill someone in row Z. Something needs to be done, Lottie. Have you got any ideas what we should do or what he? I know what he might do. Fuck all.
I probably will be fuck all, but I can see what he's trying to do with Kai because Kai was ruined by Chelsea, and I feel like I've seen glimpses of the old Kai Havertz at BVB. Seen glimpses of him, but it's a confidence thing with him. He's missed so many sitters, but you can say the same thing about Nketiah. How many sitters does he miss in a game before he scores? And they're probably in double figures. So it's going to take some time to see what Kai Havertz can do. But I'd much rather Odegaard going forward again because it was so much better last season. But I don't know how he's going to change the system, especially if he brings someone in. I think maybe when Kai is performing quite poorly, he needs to be benched to say, no, you're playing shit. I'm going to put someone else in your place. I'd love to see some more minutes from Smith Rowe as well. That kid cannot get a sniff, which I'm really irritated about right now.
I've got a theory, actually, that I put on Twitter, which people will call me crazy, but I've got a theory that Arteta tests. I don't know why. I think it's back to that run actually during lockdown where we just absolutely went to. I don't know what happened that run, that crazy run where we're losing nearly every home game, and I think some fans have just switched off him since then. And anytime Arsenal lose a game, you see all this hysteria start coming out again. But I've got this theory that the other half of that fan base, maybe if let's say 30%, and it's mainly online people, are just not Arteta out. No matter what he does, they're always Arteta out, which I don't really get. But there's another sort of 70%. I think half of those, maybe 35%, I think their patience will run thin with him, depending on what happens with Smith Rowe. I've just got this weird theory that some fans are very, very invested in Emile Smith Rowe, that if he gets bummed out without being given a chance, while some players are given multiple chances, if he leaves and then those players that are given multiple chances do not perform but continue to be given a chance, I think that might switch some of the fan base on Arteta. I've got this weird feeling.
He'd be on very thin ice with me, put it that way. Very thin ice.
ESR's a generational talent.
Yeah.
He's my favourite, so he'd be on very thin ice with me.
He's one of my favourites as well. I just think I understand the injuries and stuff, and I've seen some people saying injuries, but the amount of chances that he doesn't get a chance. He might as well not be there, to be honest.
I think it was a game before Christmas. He came on. He should have scored, but it went straight.
And he looked like he was going to cry after the game.
Yeah,
as well.
He did. Yeah. He did.
He was really upset at that.
But when you're going to have someone who is as talented as he is, and then Arteta goes, we're 2-0 down to Liverpool. Come on, son, you can have the last 5 minutes. I mean, you must look at him and go, are you taking the fuck? Yeah.
Bring him on at 70 minutes. You don't do that. I only stayed just to watch 5 minutes of Smith Rowe to see if he could do anything. Although I will own it, I never walk out before the whistle goes. Never. I just physically can't do it.
I've never done that. I always say
no matter how bad it is.
Yeah, I've left early once.
No, I was still in the stands when Man United battered us. I just couldn't leave. I was like, oh god.
I always walk round to the North Bank after the game, but I usually clap the players off and then quickly walk round to North Bank to meet my friends. I've only left once early, and that was I think it was Monaco, where we got back in the game, I think, and then we flipping letting a goal like immediately, like straight away. I just got up and left. I was just like, this is ridiculous. I was like, yeah, that's it. I think that was a game where Giroud missed like 100 chances. Like, I'm done with
I think I've never let my mate forget this, but the game where we were losing to Southampton and when it ended up we drew, he walked out before the goals went in. He said, I literally stepped outside the grounds and the goals went in. I was killing myself laughing.
last season.
Yeah, I think last season. Yeah, it was a while ago, but it was just.
Was it the one that Emery won?
No.
Where the players.
It was 3-3 in the end.
They didn't celebrate.
But...
Yeah, it was 3-3. It was the Emery game where the player Lacazette scored and the players didn't celebrate, and Emery was sacked the next week.
Yeah.
James, you look like you're in the process of having a stroke there, so I'm going to come and save you with some. Do you want to say anything about what they were talking about, or do you want to talk about this point that Avon's brought up?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point. We last season. Do
you want to read it out, or shall I read it out? Because
you can read it out if you wish.
Okay, Avon says 23-24 XG, which I hate, changes. That's the last two letters of Sean. We bought a private plate for Christmas. It says Sean XG. S14N XG. 1,500 quid. That child is spoilt. Jazz doesn't have a car. She's put on a go-kart. Anyway, he says XG changed from last season. Opta, Martinelli, what last season was 8.93 XG. It's now 2.52, down 254%. That's nearly all the percent that has ever existed. Odegaard, 9.96, down to 3.94, down 153%. Saka, 11.06 to 6.89, down 61%. Jesus is 14.04 to, this might be when actual Jesus was born and lived, I'm not sure, BC. 1404 BC to 4.48 AD. That's down 213%. And Eddie, 10 down to 4, which is down 141%. What do you make of that, James? Because I need to have a breather and a little cry.
Well, yeah, no, it's not good reading. And like I said earlier, in that 2-week break, I hope the main thing that they've been doing, as well as trying to sort this all out as a group, is practicing finishing, because the finishing the last couple of weeks has been absolutely dreadful. I mean, if you really want to look into it, Danny, I don't think necessarily that we've had a game where we've been absolutely terrible apart from Fulham in the league. That one against Fulham I thought was unacceptable from pretty much all of them. But in terms of the finishing, that's been dreadful. But overall play has been, I don't think it's been too bad apart from that Fulham game. That the output needs to improve massively. I mean, you're relying again on two relatively young wingers to do literally every single thing. If Martinelli and Saka have a bad game, Arsenal have a bad game. So it's a case of, if they don't do anything, it seems like Arsenal really don't do anything. And we've gone from a team that, when we played Chelsea away and got that draw, which was fantastic, Trossard scored in that game right near the end. At that time, we had 12 goals from our subs. So we had we were the best in the league in terms of bringing people on and letting them do something and have an impact. Now, if we were all to have a conversation, if I said to you, Danny, Lottie, Femi, all of them that come off the bench, which one of them do you think is going to do something for us? You'd probably go, I don't know at the moment, James. That needs to improve. Because if you've got no one that can change a game from the bench, then you go around in this circle of, again, you're doing plan A, but then there's plan A, but just with different people. And again, like you all said about Smith Rowe, what are they going to do in 3 minutes? They need, if you're going to change it, give them more than 3 minutes. Because the only time that Smith Rowe started this season was against Sheffield United in the league, and he did actually get an assist in that game. So he pulls numbers when he does start. I just think it's a belief. I think in terms of reacting to game state, Arteta's still not at the level that we need him to be. And I do think as well, in terms of his subs, he's still not at the level that we need him to be. And if you look at where we are in the league, it's about right to me. I'm upset because it's a regression from where we were last season. But we need to have something massive happen for us now in the Champions League, I think, in terms of winning anything. And that is a knockout competition. But you do have to be smart in that competition. It's not always the best teams get to the final, Danny. I'm an Inter Milan fan. Last season, Inter Milan were not the best team in the Champions League. Exactly. But they did what they needed to do And if it wasn't for Lukaku playing football in Timberlands instead of football boots, they might have beat Man City and ended the treble. So you just never know. You got to be smart, which is something that I think we can do, but we just need to turn it round. I mean, this Saturday, winning changes everything. So let's hopefully go out there, beat Palace, and then we can have a different conversation next week.
Anyone else got anything to add to any of that lot?
No, I think that the changes that we've made this season probably don't help as well. I mean, I'm always arguing with people online, but not that much. But me and Josh had a big falling out the other day about Granit Xhaka versus Kai Havertz.
That's unlike Josh.
And he's adamant that nothing has changed with Kai Havertz in there compared to Granit Xhaka, and I just can't have it at all.
It's
because it's massively changed, hasn't it? It
has.
Just,
I'm not a Granit Xhaka fan, but it's massively changed. He did the job.
Yeah, and you can watch even the Martinelli thing. I think he helped Martinelli so much. If you watch some of the play that we had last season, you'll be shocked that you'll see Xhaka out on that side so much, not just in the middle bursting into the box, out on the left, kind of playing that left midfield type role where he covers for both Martinelli and for Zinchenko. And I think both of them have suffered for Xhaka not being there, and that's why I still can't get my head around this Kai Havertz stuff. Apologies. Sorry, I just don't get it personally. You can tell me that he's played well here and there and all of this, but he's totally changed our style of play. And do you know what? Also, we miss Thomas Partey so much. Like, I know people don't want to hear that, and I didn't think we would as well. But if you think about, let's say, a couple of years ago, or even a year and a half ago, if I told you, oh, Thomas Partey is going to get injured, everyone in the fan base would be having a meltdown. And I just don't think that it's changed that much. That our form is linked to him. He played 31 games last season. For about 25, 26 of them, he was absolutely brilliant, and we were brilliant. And then against Liverpool and West Ham, after those games, his form fell off a cliff. And guess what? So did our form. We are so linked to the way that he plays and the tempo that he sets for us that people don't think about it enough. He's played 3 games and 15 minutes, and most of those games were at right back as well. He's not played for us this season, and we miss him so much.
He does remind me a little bit of a Royal Rumble with Hulk Hogan and Hornswoggle, because Partey is Hulk Hogan and he can just carry on doing what he's doing, and Hornswoggle can kick and push and shove, and he's not going to stop. He's still going to do ball to feet moves and through balls and look silky, and like it's no effort for him. The game is so easy for Partey, and imagine having him there, and then Declan could be playing in the left 8, and then Odegaard could be in the right 8 going forward like he was last season. We just don't. Havertz is never going to fit into that team. As much as I enjoyed him, like Lottie was saying, when he was playing on the right for, was it Leverkusen? He was playing there, and he was one of the best young German players, and then they're playing for Germany and doing really well. He's never going to get that, because if anybody wants to play on the right hand side as not a cover or backup for Saka, but an alternative style of play to Saka, he's still a young man. What is he? Havertz, what's he, about 24? He can still go out on the right-hand side and say, look, here, Arteta, this is what I did at Leverkusen. I'm going to get the name wrong again. This is what I did there. I was one of the best young players. I was scoring goals. I mean, one season, I think he got like about 11 goals and about six or 7 assists or some numbers like that. And why can't he do that again? Because Saka is knackered. Saka needs a rest. I mean, this 2-week rest isn't going to be enough for Saka. It's not just a physical rest. He needs a mental rest from the entire game being on his shoulders. Because if he doesn't do anything, Martinelli's going to be flashed for half an hour, and then he's going to turn off, and then it's going to be, right, Saka, over to you, son. And he's going to go, I've carried this team for 3 seasons. I can't carry on doing it. You're giving me piles. Anyone got anything on that?
No, I couldn't agree more with you. And we know he's carrying that niggle, which doesn't help. I mean, I just still feel like he's been a bit sussed as well. As it's just every time, especially like with Liverpool, 2 people are on him, and then he runs out of ideas. And as much as I appreciate how great he is as a player, his inexperience does kick in then. So maybe we need to find someone with a bit more experience in that position just to swap him off, give him a break. I think a few seasons ago, I was at a cup tie. I think it was against Wimbledon. He was benched. Smith Rowe was benched, and I think he was standing there with Eddie Nketiah. It was a Lacazette penalty, and they were just sitting there plotting where they would be if they were playing. And all those three want to do is play football. You could just see the eagerness in it, and it didn't feel right seeing him on the bench, but he needed that, and I feel like it needs to happen more.
Because we know we've got Trossard who can play out on the right-hand side. He can play. Trossard and Smith Rowe can play in any one, I would say, of the front five positions easily, as long as you're not going to ask too much of the defending position that maybe of the left eight.
Martinelli through the middle.
Yeah,
I've been screaming this for ages. He's played there before. Why not give him a shot?
And
get Smith Rowe on, get Saka on the other side.
And we heard that quote from Martinelli when he played for Brazil. He went, "I've never had so much freedom playing the game, and I loved it." I might have added on the "I loved it" bit at the end. But you've got so many options, and like James, the traits that a young man picks up from the people that he has played under as a coach or as a manager, he has picked up some of the worst aspects from Wenger. So unbelievably stubborn, stick to it, stick to plan A. And he's picked up some bad traits from Pep, as in, hold on, everybody, take a seat. I'm going to reinvent football. Watch this, like he's done in times before. And he needs to be not so stubborn and go, actually, I fucked up there. Ramsdale, get your shirt on, son. You're playing. Brentford boy, you're going back to Brentford at the end of the season. We don't want you. And things, ESR, whatever you've done, he is a generational talent. He is the modern reincarnation of Paul Merson. And he is beautiful to watch. His love of the game oozes out of every pore of his body. And how he hasn't played regularly for 2 fucking years, I'm taking Arteta to The Hague for that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, for a long, long time, he's had his issue with his groin. He's finally got that sorted. He looks to be better than he was. And also there was massive rumblings about the club being unhappy with his weight gain since that he was injured. But you know, he looks all good to me. He looks fit enough for me to play. And you're looking at the team at the moment, like we were all talking about. Obviously, Granit Xhaka going has completely changed that left-hand side. The tempo of the team is slower compared to what it was last season. And if you really want to look into it, Havertz, for me, his best performances, okay, he's had about 1 or 2 that have come from playing at the 8, but his best games for us have actually been when he's a different 9 option. Man City in the Community Shield, be a nuisance up there. He was brilliant in that game. I think it was Brentford when he come on. He was playing as the 9, got his header. I'm trying to think of the other. I mean, that first half against Liverpool, his actual play in terms of finishing, dreadful. But he did everything else for all the other players and created the chances. I thought that we looked better because he can actually hold the ball up. He can bring people in, which is what you don't get with Eddie Nketiah. I think Nketiah's got better at it, but he's nowhere near as much as a hold-up or a link player that Jesus and Trossard are compared to him. So I think if you're looking at someone to play that left 8, I'm with you, Danny. It's got to be Emile Smith Rowe. I think he's the best. If you want someone to arrive late into the box,
thinking about it.
Yeah. If you want someone to arrive late into the box and finish it, who's going to win? CM Punk's going to win the Royal Rumble, by the way. I'll answer that right now. He's going to win the men's one. And Bailey will win the ladies. But yeah, Smith Rowe's the man for it. Smith Rowe's the best option that we've got in terms of who's at the club already and not going to buy one for me at playing that left 8 role. The goalkeepers, Danny, I know you're big on it. For me, I think Raya's marginally better than him, but it's not massively. It's not a massive difference. But that is a big problem. You know, that's created an issue that, like you said, he didn't really need to make. I think he's permanently signed now. We know that in the summer that transfer is going to be done. That's another reason why we can't look to sign people now, is because we've already got a £30 million outlay on David Raya done. If you think about it, did we really need another goalkeeper in this? Could we have used that? I would have bought maybe the forward or another winger that gives you an option. I mean, deep down, Danny, if I could sign anybody this window, I'd go get Pedro Neto from Wolves.
He's a handful.
That's who I'd buy. If you're not going to buy a centre forward, then get yourself a high output winger And even now, where he's been injured for a long, long time, he's still got more assists than I think he's still in the top maybe 2. I think Salah's just pipped him, hasn't he, in terms of assists? So for me, he solves so many questions. If you were to buy Pedro Neto, but I still believe we're probably going to go out there and get a fullback. Which again, do we really need one? If you look at it, yes, Zinchenko can't defend, but you got Tomiyasu back in the next couple of weeks. You can roll with him. Kiwior, if you're not going to sell him, you've got to trust him a bit more. But at the same time, he's not really a left back. He looks like he'd probably be better centre half. But then Gabriel and Saliba have to play every game. So it's difficult in terms of getting all of these people in to do what they need to do. But yeah, for the left 8 role, Danny, yeah, I'd be, if you were to ask me for my dream lineup for Palace, Smith Rowe's playing there 100%.
You're a dirty boy. Getting us all excited like that.
I was reading something actually when you talk about the keepers today. I don't know if it was. I think it was the Madrid Athletic site where Madrid basically said they will not sign Kepa on a permanent transfer this summer because obviously they got him on an emergency loan because what's his name? Courtois got injured. Now what they said is they will not spend 20 million on a backup goalkeeper. 20 million euros, bear in mind. So all this stuff where we fret so much about getting this perfect backup goalkeeper, other teams don't care about the backup goalkeeper. As long as he's competent and he can play the same style, which I think was a massive minus point for Matt Turner. And you can see it at Nottingham Forest now. He's just a bit crazy. But they just don't care. As long as you're a competent keeper, you can play a backup. But they said, yeah, we will not spend 20 million euros on a backup keeper. So he can go back to Chelsea. That's it. So we definitely should have sold one before we bought one.
Just reading some of the comments in here. Archangel says, Raya is like those outfield players who pull on some gloves in training for a laugh. Lottie, is it?
I'm not doing the Raya thing after last.
Yeah, you've ruined it by telling me Ramsdale was going to go. You started this bullshit.
I told you that at the beginning of the season, the second pod of the season. I said to you Ramsdale was going to go, and you refused to believe me.
I'm not having it. Look, is it too late for Arteta to go, actually, I've done fucked up and go back to playing the football we were last season? Because not only was that a thing of beauty, it worked.
It's only January, so I don't see why not. I'd rather have Ramsdale in goal.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, he got us to the Champions League and he's seen nothing for his efforts. Raya's just come into top spot and that's the end of it. Yes, he makes his blunders, but what keeper doesn't?
Yeah, but we do. Something needs to be done because just imagine the situation if we, after the Dubai trip, he comes back and we lose to Palace. I mean, Twitter is a big enough shithole full of dickheads as it is at the moment. But imagine what it's going to be like after, even if they get a draw against them, then it's going to be 1 win in 8 games. It's going to be like the Somme on Twitter.
Yeah, it's going to be horrible. But that whole of December was horrible across the club. Let's be honest. Like the women lost for the first time to Tottenham Hotspur at White Hart Lane, and then they've had their 4 weeks off. They've come back. We've won our FA Cup game. It seems to be getting us back on track. Again, the academy was off. Come back. They've won. So surely it's got to be the men's turn. I mean, it's Palace, and it's hot. Like we know how to deal with Palace. They haven't got that thorn in our sides anymore. In the form of I've forgotten his name. Zaha, that's it. And it's going to be interesting to see how Roy plays them out. But I think we'll be fine against them. I just hope this warm weather training has done something, because you're going to come back and they're just going to be cold. So
Palace are playing right now, actually, aren't they?
3 England goalkeepers on the 2 sides.
Please.
Yeah. Elise is still not fit, so that's a plus point for us. But yeah, they've got they're losing 1-0.
I mean, Twitter's fallen apart when I see people who know nothing about women's football that are going, ever since Maidemir's been back, she's been shit, get rid of her. I saw someone that say that.
Yeah,
the other day.
can I ask about that actually? I keep looking at the team
Yeah.
sheet because I don't really. I mean, I keep an eye on the
Yeah,
results,
go
but I
for
don't
it.
really. I keep looking at the team sheet, and she's only started one game since her injury, and that
She's
was
come
this
back from
weekend in FA
ACL.
Cup.
ACLs are a
Yeah.
massive injury. You need to watch the documentary that Arsenal released. It's like 5 parts, about an hour and a half with Beth, but it takes a long time. If you ever had an ACL injury, your knee just pops. That's it. And you've ripped a muscle on the inside of the knee. So she's had to have an operation, take some muscle from the other knee to repair it. And then there's like, it takes, for women, it takes over a year to get back into it. So last November, not the one just gone, one before that, Beth did hers against Man United in the Emirates. She came back and she basically scored about roughly the same week. So she's now back up and fully running. She's only just started doing full 90 minutes. With Viv, you were easing her back in. At the moment, she's doing most of 65 minutes. And that's as far as Arsenal are willing to push her in terms of her fitness. Because if she does it comes back too soon, she'll do it again. Taya Goldie is one of those players who came back too soon and then she did the ACL on her other knee. So she's had ACLs in both knees now, and she's one of our younger academy kids. But it's just, there needs to be more research done into it, because obviously with women's feet, our feet are a lot smaller than men's. I know Adidas are working on new technology for the trainers. That even applies to the general public as well. And also they're also looking into research, looking into periods linked with the ACL injuries. One of the greatest strikers in the world has just had her ACL done, and that is Sam Kerr. So as much as I'm kind of happy about it in terms of Arsenal and Chelsea, I'm actually also glad because she is one of the best players in the world, and she's just absolutely brilliant to watch when she's playing for Australia, but not for Chelsea. But it's just a case of easing her back in.
Easing her back in. Okay, that makes sense. It's quite interesting. Yeah.
It will be. Again, he will be eased back in. You won't see him full out 45 minutes. There's no chance.
Thank you very much for saying that, because I will not argue with anyone on Twitter again who continuously wants to tell me that they're ITK and that, oh yeah, he'll be back in January, or he'll be back for the Porto game, oh, we've been in the Champions League squad. And I'm like, you are not serious. I said, how many sports have you ever seen someone suffer an ACL and they're back within 4 or 5 months? It doesn't. You might see the 1 in a million or 1 in a few thousand, and people use that as an example. But I'm like, that doesn't happen. I watch so many sports where players get ACL injuries, and no one comes back within 7 to 9 months. 7 months is a happy.
It's a bit like at the moment. Leah Williamson's just returned to full training. Everyone's getting excited. You won't see her for 2 months. It's not going to happen.
Exactly.
Because Leah's been doing her own thing off the pitch, and she's been doing all her recovery and stuff since last, I think, April. I think it was April. We put her away at LSV and Man United. When she went down, she knew straight away. She was just smacking around like, done, I'm out. That's it. And that in turn let her miss the World Cup. So she's just returned back to full training, and I think we could maybe 6 to 8 weeks before we see her any minutes. She's going to miss the North London derby, and that girl loves the North London derby.
So you're talking about
I think.
Oh, go on, Fem.
No, I think Timber, we won't see him for a while. And on ACL injuries, I think there's definitely some, and not just in a way. I mean, obviously, I've always said in a women's game, it's just, you just see it. You're like, well, this is amazing, like crazy. And then in a men's game, sorry, go on.
Sorry to interrupt you, but around the world, I think Matt that I podcast with, there was over 182, and that list was still growing the end of last season across all the women's leagues. So there's something needs to be done at this point, and I'm hoping Beth's and Viv's documentary on Arsenal will help with that. Yeah,
and obviously in the ABW chat, we've been counting the men's ACL injuries since the start of this season as well, and we did link a lot of them to the tour in America. A lot of players that went on tour in America this season seem to come down with ACLs, and that's between all different clubs, whether it's Inter Milan, Chelsea, Tottenham, Madrid, Arsenal. We just noticed that there was just a pattern of players that played pre-season tours in America, but then obviously other players as well. We've seen so many of them this season. It's quite weird, actually.
Yeah, there's not enough research on it, even for like the men. It's out there, but it's not as thorough as it should be.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about, you said about small feet. Now, we all know Santi Cazorla had notoriously tiny feet. Like, my feet are a size, it's about 8 top to bottom and about a 10 left to right. So is it the build of the women's feet? Because we've talked about this on the pod quite a few times about, is it the shoes? Is it because women are, this generation of women are reaching a physical peak that I don't think women in football have reached before. They're pushing it. It's the tiny little percentages. It's like with Brailsford and then the Tour de France, the team there, what were they called? The Sky team. It's a tiny little percentages. That's all. When you get to the point where you're so fit and you're so athletic, you can only make tiny little percentage increases. Is it because they're pushing to try and get this extra 1% here and 1% there that they're getting injured so much? Because it is like Femi was saying, and you were mentioning, we say 180 of them.
Yeah, there's over 180 across the world.
Has anyone got any solid ideas? Because we think when they were in America,
again, the main reason is it's just part of genetic makeup. Sadly, a woman's knee does not have it's more looser and doesn't have the range of motion compared to what a man's knee does. So that is why, unfortunately, they have these injuries. It's just the case of just the body is different. And that's the main cause that I read is of what's happening. And I think that's like what Lottie's saying, that they're trying to adapt maybe a boot or something that can help with that motion and everything else. And again, as well, I think workload, men and women's game. If I'll freely admit I haven't got as much knowledge on the women's game as other people that are here right now. But in terms of the men's, if out of the top clubs and the top teams, for the last 18 months, this is the first sort of break for an awful lot of them.
Oh, no,
I just think there's just way too many games. I mean, the Nations League, why does that exist? It's not needed.
Money.
Yes, well, yeah, we know that, but I just, the sheer volume of what they're being made to do and everything else, it's just ridiculous.
They're expendable.
It's absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, I'll let other people touch because they know more on it than me. So, but yeah, I just thought I'd throw that in there. The main reason is sadly just genetically the range of motion and the strength in a knee joint in a woman compared to a man just isn't there. It's just not there.
Yeah, the thing is, it's not just that; it's everything. I think it is when you look at the women's physicality compared to the men's. It's just a completely different entity altogether. It's like, growing up for me, I was in boys' football boots, and there was nothing out there for women, and there still isn't, and they've only just started changing it now.
Is it size difference or just a structural difference?
A structural difference, and structural difference.
That is weird. I mean, you should see my Sean's knee. She's got builder's knees. She's got blue. Well, if it's a man's job, it's a blue job. And I say, you've got blue job knees. She's done this. Oh, that could go down very badly if that was said wrong. Fucking hell, move along, please. Fuck's sake.
You're going to be on Joey Barton's podcast this week, aren't you, Danny?
I like a lot of what he's saying, and I retweet and I like some of it. The bloke's an arsehole, but he's a funny arsehole, and some of the shit he is saying is right. And now we've seen some of the DMs that twat has been sending other footballers and going, well, you're an arsehole with podcasts. It's Twitter. You don't come to Twitter and expect everyone to say, oh, you look lovely today. Well, actually, they do in your DMs, but I block those people. It is, but if you're going to come in there, you're going to. That's what it's there for. If you're going to get involved, then you're going to get involved, and then you can't go crying when things go wrong. But yeah, that bloke's never managing in football ever again, is he? Definitely not a ladies' side. So, Lottie, do you think there's going to be where they're going to be able to fix this and sort this out? Because you can't have women getting to the pinnacle of their game and then go and snap them out for a year, because they're not on £150,000 a week, are they, where they can just put their feet up and go, that's all right, I'll go and spend all my money on panini stickers. That's not going to happen, is it?
No, we get paid peanuts. Well, the girls get paid peanuts compared to the men. I mean, there's no such thing as a transfer market. Well, it's there, but most people move around for free.
Didn't we pay 500 grand for Russo or something?
Yes, we did. And
that was like a world record for the Premier League.
For the Women's Super League, yes, it is.
Wow. And the record for the men's thing, if that was about, I mean, Clive Allen. No, it wasn't Clive Allen. It was Trevor Francis in 1981 went for £1 million. Well, 999,999. He didn't want to make $1 million. That's 1981. That was 248 years ago. And the women are still only on half of that. That's say quite a bit. I mean, especially when you got crowds at the Emirates. What's the biggest crowd at the Emirates for the ladies? Sellout?
It's a sellout. Yeah, that would be Tottenham Hotspur every season without fail.
Wow.
Since the Euros and England winning it, that's a sellout every time. Up until the 16th of December, as I said earlier, they'd never beaten us. So it was always, it's a sellout. It's a North London derby. It's safe to bring the kids out. It's very family orientated, but it's also, you've got that animosity of we don't like Spurs. Although as the game's grown, before it grew, they were all sort of friends and it's safe for them to sit together, mix in together. But now they're starting to separate fans as the game's grown bigger. I mean, we had our first proper away end with the Chelsea fans. The away corner in the Emirates turned blue and it was like, okay, that's different. And then you had the odd Chelsea fan popping up in the blocks when you'd see them sitting down during that game. So we beat Chelsea this season at the Emirates, which was great, which means Emma Hayes has never won there. Which is even better.
Her. Is that okay to hate her?
I do too. Oh yeah, I terrorised her last season. I was telling her to get back in her box. There's about 7 or 8 of us, like 4 rows behind her, terrorising her. I quite enjoyed it, but she did turn around and tried to find us.
I wouldn't want to fight her.
So.
I bet she fights dirty, especially she's all elbows and knees.
Probably to be fair, she won't get the Champions League. Hopefully, when she wants something, she doesn't get it.
So, my cat's just made a squealy noise. So I always use the NASL, North American Soccer League. I hate it when people give an acronym and then they tell you what it means. I want to start that again. The North American Soccer League. Nobody watched it. Everybody watched it. It's the greatest thing in the world. Nobody watched it in the space of 7 or 8 years. Do you think there's any chance of that happening with women's football? Because it does seem it's a little bit trendy at the moment, isn't it?
No. Through the women's WOSO or women's soccer community, it's Tom Sodoff. I think he's still reaving over Arsenal battering Leeds last season. I've lost my train. With the women's community, a lot of it's called WOSO, women's soccer. I hate that word; sounds disgusting out my mouth. And there's a lot of drama that goes on, and a lot of people have more than one team. And it is actually the norm. I mean, I know some fans.
Arsenal women fans. One team.
Hang on a second. I know some fans that are Arsenal women fans, but they support the Tottenham Hotspur men.
That's a bit cheeky, isn't it? James looks confused. You might need to explain that. How does that work?
I don't know. It just happens. I know Liverpool men's fans that come to the Arsenal games. They're season ticket holders for Arsenal.
Deviants. That's why.
It's insane. But it's also a case of, with Arsenal, we're the most accomplished club in the country for the women's. We've got the history, we've got the quadruple, and we are the leading light within the English leagues to show other clubs how it should be done, and how to support your women's club. I mean, Chelsea rarely play at Stamford Bridge. Tottenham have only just started playing at White Hart Lane. West Ham haven't even set foot in their new ground, but yet they can take the team photos there. Because West Ham won't support their women's team.
Are they just placating the audience because it's a thing at the moment? The fan base, I mean.
Yeah, no. West Ham are very good at supporting their academy. They're very good at supporting their men's team, but there's very few West Ham women's fans. And to be honest with you, they're always that team that just escapes relegation. Because there's not enough funding for them.
It's not as if it's going to cost much money, is it? It's going to cost the one player's wages from one star player's wages for a month will run the women's team for a year.
Yeah. I love West Ham ladies, mate. If it weren't for them, Dagenham and Redbridge wouldn't have a Premier League style football pitch. So I'm over the moon for West Ham ladies.
Yeah, no, but the thing is, like, I personally, Meadow Park, Bournemouth, they've got the best ground at the moment because we look after their grass. If you look at where Tottenham play at the moment, they play over in Leyton Orient. It's literally a mud bath. It's disgusting. But it's There's a long way to go. Although you see Arsenal are doing all this amazing stuff, for the other smaller clubs that are in championships and national leagues, there's a long way to go in terms of funding. Reading have had to, when they got relegated last season, they can no longer pay their female players. So the ones who can earn big money have moved on to other clubs or other leagues, because they're not getting paid for what they should be.
That is a shame. It's not like there's no money in football, is there? There's more than enough money for everyone.
When you've got tickets that are like, I think I paid 40 quid for 5 of us to go to the FA Cup. That was 2 kids and 3 adults. So the money's not there yet. I'm quite happy to keep paying cheap money, but it's not going to always stay like that with the growth.
Well, it is something that we at ABW, we should do something called the Scores on the Doors, where we died right back in the beginning in 2013. And I'd say what the ladies' team was and who scored the goal, who they played, and where the league position was. And people didn't like it, so I stopped doing it. I used to do that in the under-18s and the under-21s, and people, and then it moved to the end of the pod, and then it got chopped off. And then, yeah, so we were watching it, keeping a track on it for quite a while. If anybody in the chat has got any questions, I have got 3 questions saved at the moment. One from Jimmy, one from Nikki, one from Phil. We know Nikki and Phil's are both going to be bullshit. So basically, we've got 1 question. So if anyone's got any decent questions they want to put in the chat, put it there, beginning of a letter Q, so then I can easily see it with my old grey eyes. And then we'll go on from there. James, any other points, or Femi, you wanted to talk about? Because we've done an hour and 6 minutes. ABW shows are now a little bit shorter because Chris isn't here, asking the questions, singing the questions, and answering the questions. So,
you know what? I wanted to ask you actually about this FFP stuff. What you guys think about it? Just quickly. It doesn't have to be a long conversation because we're definitely not Swiss Rambo over here, are we? So, what do you guys think about it? Because I said today that I read an article actually about Wolves and how Wolves sold 17 players because they knew they were in FFP trouble. So they not only sold 17 players, they also fell out with their manager who was doing all right for them, and he quit because they knew they were in FFP trouble and they knew that they had to balance the book. So my thing was, I hope Nottingham Forest especially get nailed because their whole argument is basically that they were trying to sell one player for the whole summer. And because of that one player, they missed the deadline because they wanted to sell him for more.
Oh, by one day, wasn't it?
No, they missed it by a while actually. They could have. Basically, the story goes they had a bid for Brentford for 35 million for Brennan Johnson. That would have been before the FFP cut-off date, but they decided to hold out for the 47 million that Tottenham paid them. Now, my thing is, tough luck, because if you're relying on that one thing as your mitigating circumstance, I think that's absolute rubbish when another team is selling 17 players because they knew they were in trouble. You know, teams they've known about this for a while. So why should I don't feel sorry for any of them personally. I think Everton, their finances are in an absolute mess, to be honest with you. And I think people are not actually looking at them enough. People are just feeling sorry for them because their name's Everton, but they're basically taking loans from an owner who's trying to buy them just to stay afloat at the moment. That's how bad their finances are. So I just wondered what everyone thinks of it, you know, because it's just a lot of what about them? What about them?
Well, for me, they've committed at the end of the day, they've committed the offences. It's not like it's not been explained what these offences are and how you don't do, this isn't allowed and this is why. So they deserve the punishments that come to them. I can understand how they feel aggrieved when you've got one of the teams that won a treble last season and have as many as they have charges against them. However, they've got about 115 and counting, and it goes back to 2009. They're also paying lawyers 10 grand an hour to help try and find loopholes and ways to get out of this. Everton and Nottingham Forest do not have that kind of money. And also, they've been compliant. Man City haven't complied. They're like, no, we disagree with this, and we're going to fight this. And Everton and Nottingham Forest have both gone, yeah, this is what's happened. Look, we'll send you all the details and everything else. And it's quite cut and paste. Well, you broke this law and everything. And you make a good point there about their owners as well. 777 Sports that want to own Everton. They want to try and get this through as seamlessly as possible because they do not want to be playing championship football in their new stadium that they're going to have after next season. I think there's a reason why they've extended the stay at Goodison by a year, in that if they do get relegated this year, they can still go to the fans. We've still got Goodison. We're not going down into the new shiny ground, so that they can probably get promoted back up and be like, right, now we're Premier League in our new ground and it's a new dawn, it's a new day, and we're feeling good, in the words of Michael Bublé and others. But I believe that, like I said earlier, all the teams in the league were worried about this with the FFP, profit and sustainability, like you said. Now that it's a bit clearer, I think it's a case of someone will move, and then that will move the window. Everyone else will jump after the first sort of domino has fell. Who that domino is going to be, I have no idea. But I believe, watch this space, because we will get activity in the next couple of days. But it will be from more. It'll be clubs. Clubs will do more than just, we're going to do one player at a push. So don't think that we're going to have lots to talk about, because we're not. We're going to have one. But the other clubs will probably do a lot. The other clubs will do a lot more. And again, this is because other clubs, and I agree with it with Arsenal, we don't get into bed with these agents and these intermediaries. We just don't do it. We're not like Chelsea, where we can have a deal with a club in Saudi Arabia to funnel the players that we don't want anymore. I mean, Liverpool, Thiago Alcantara being linked with Saudi Arabia. He hasn't played for 4 years, but they'll get about 40 million for him. It's just how it is. Yes, Arsenal are terrible at selling, but I still believe that we're better off not jumping into bed with these agents, because Wolves did with Jorge Mendes, whatever you want to call him, and they're reeling from that effect. Effectively, still now, Femi, every player from Wolves is for sale because they need to make money back. So, yeah, I mean, whether anyone's going to buy all their players from Wolves, that's another reason why I credit Gary O'Neill, because he knew from when he went in there, look, if any bids come for these players before the end of the summer window, we're accepting it because they're all for sale, mate. So that's why I appreciate the job that he's actually done in there, considering the circumstances that he had. It'd take a lesser man to go, no, I'm not going to do that. I mean, I can understand Lopetegui quitting, but yeah, I appreciate Gary O'Neill and the fact that he's gone in there and gone, hey, do you know what? And also, they've been quite hard done by VAR as well, and the refs this season as well, Wolves. I think along with us, I'm not one of these David Ikes that think there's a massive conspiracy against Arsenal, but I will say, I think along with Arsenal, Wolves have been absolutely shagged out of a few points as well.
I was going to ask something then. We were talking about the... too busy watching my outdoor cam. Is that snow? No. What was it? It's gone. That's a shame. It could have been the world's greatest question, and now we're never going to know what it was. Oh, well. The joys of spring. Anyone else got anything else before we go and have a look at... I'm going to remember, just as the show finishes. I'll remember what it was. No one. Let's go and answer some questions.
Now, don't we? So, yeah.
We certainly have. Jimmy was straight in there before the show even started with the club. Lottie, you can actually we've got some women's football ones. Actually, Lottie, should we make these two answer the women's football ones? Or do you want to answer them?
I can give you the right answers after if that helps, but I'd like to see these two try.
Right, so question for you, Lottie, from Jimmy.
And I know Ryan's done some stinkers in there. I've seen them pop up already.
That's Ryan for you. Jimmy says, Lottie, with the club now doing better on the pitch, why is our commercial team so poor and not getting in on the action and selling the club better, giving us more money to spend and get a better FFP, get around FFP better?
I think James is hit on the head in terms of we don't get into bed with these other people like Chelsea do. And it's... I'd rather stay out of it and then be caught up in with what Everton and Nottingham Forest are going through. We've always been crap at selling. You sit there and look at things and think, no, these players should be going for more. But a lot of the clubs they do go to, they are not willing to pay the money. and that's most of the time because they can't afford it. But where if you give them get a lower price, but you need to get rid of this person, off you go. And that's although it's frustrating for us fans who don't know what's going behind the scenes and don't know the FFP rules inside out, like the club should, it keeps the club clean and we don't get caught up in this drama.
Good answer.
Just a quick one on that as well. When you're talking about commercial team being poor, I'd like to put to that, Jimmy, that I actually think the commercial stuff is linked with winning. If we start winning the big trophies, the Champions League, the Premier League, I bet your bottom dollar they could sell Arsenal so much easier. That's exactly what Man City have done. Because they kept winning the league, their commercial team, they don't have an issue drumming up big advertisers, big commercial deals for them. So I think it's linked with winning big trophies. We haven't won a big trophy since 2004. We always got to remember that.
Very true. And that makes me sad. Right, a question for you, James, from Ryan from the Mr. Arsenal podcast. Do we sign Mary Earps either now or in the summer? I think that's a Wild West Cowboy.
Okay, judging by Lottie's face, I'm going to say summer because that seems more likely.
You want to rob Man United for the second time for free? Really? Oh, that would be fun.
Didn't I read somewhere that Arsenal don't want to do it anymore or something?
No,
they're not interested anymore.
I can't say this. I promised I wouldn't. I know someone who knows someone inside the club, and there is something going on with her. But I would rather have her now because we all know Manu Zinsberger is on the way out. She's going. Her wife's pregnant. She wants to go home and raise her family. So whether she goes back to Austria or back to the German leagues, that remains to be seen. But I think Manu Zinsberger, I think the writing's on the wall. She's going at the end of the season.
Isn't it a bit technical though for Man United? Wouldn't they rather just leave on a free? Because you're basically selling one of the best players in the world as things stand right now.
Yeah, but thing is, if she was going to go for free, she can go to Real Madrid or PSG. Then they've got to drum up the money that the Glazers won't give them to buy a new keeper. So, yeah. The Glazers have liquidated Man United once already. They've only just come back in the last 5 years. They were liquidated early in the early 2000s.
And is she that good? Is she brilliant?
Yeah.
I know for England she was good.
She won BBC Sports Personality of the Year, Danny.
Yeah, we all know that means nothing.
Yeah. So, Mary Earps was a bit of a late bloomer in terms of a keeper, but she's brilliant. I'd take her in a heartbeat.
Well, that's good. And how could they not have the women's goalkeeper shirt for sale? And is that just yet another oversight run by people who've got no idea what's going on?
Yeah, Arsenal, from what I know, are the only ones that do print goalkeeper shirts. So you can get Sabrina D'Angelo or Manu Zinsberger on the back of your shirt with the WSL font or the cup font at Arsenal, but I'm not, as far as I'm aware, there's not many other clubs that do sell the women's goalkeepers font and shirt. Well, the shirts are the same, but the printing on the back. You
think they would try and market in on that because that's a huge market. Avon says, go on.
Put it this way, Nike did do the Earp shirt. They sold out in 15 minutes.
Didn't they have to a petition to get them to do it or something?
Yep, they did. Yep, you had to be on the waiting list in order to go in and purchase one.
Good.
So it's just insane.
Right, this is a cheeky one from Avon, our take. Karim Benzema, Lottie said yes, the rest of us said don't be silly. And the Julian Draxler bit, there is a rule at ABW. We only talk Julian Draxler when Karl is on the pod because we like to see him cry. So we won't be answering that one. One for everybody here. I'll start with you, Femi, and I hope you say nothing. What's everybody's Mackie D's order from Liam Greyhurst?
Mackie D's.
Don't look confused like you've never heard of the bloody place, boy. You know exactly what it is. Family bucket for 6. I don't even know that's a thing.
I don't think that's a thing. That's the wrong. That's the wrong takeout.
That's the chicken one.
Oh, it's
I was at Huntingdon KFC last week, and we saw the bloke drop the chicken on the floor, bend down with tongs, pick it up, and put it back on the thing. Dirty bastards.
Ooh.
What's your order then, Femi? Just for you.
6 nuggets.
You know, have you ever seen nuggets being made from that pink yucky paste?
Oh, you know what? I don't. You know what? The problem is, this is why I hate answering these questions, because I know something like that will come up. I don't know. Whatever happens, happens. Anything. 6 nuggets or chicken sandwich. There you go. And I know it's not chicken. You're going to say that when I say that. Yeah, there you go.
James, what's yours?
I have to preface this with what time of the day is it?
McDonald's is all day. You should know that.
But I'm like, is this a before 11 o'clock order in the morning when it's breakfast time, or is this is it the because they're too, you know? I mean, I'm a lot slender compared to how I used to be, but I'm not thin, so I'm a big McDonald's fan.
What do you have then?
It depends on the day. Dinner? You know, I was celebrating the other day, like with such joy that the breakfast wraps are coming back. I was over the moon at this news. Hopefully they get bagels back as well, and we can all rejoice again. But if it's the morning, then I will get the double egg McMuffin and 2 hash browns and a Tropicana. If it's the evening time, depending on what the special burger is at the time, if it's one that I feel like I might want to try, I'll get a bit of that. Mainly because they've gone cheap the last few years since COVID. They've gone for the big tasty, so I'll normally get one of them with bacon and then chips and then 6 nuggets. But if not, the quarter pound of cheese with bacon is the best of the bunch of the burgers.
Oh, that uncooked raw stringy bacon thing.
But it's still the best of the bunch. He's got
an answer for everything.
since they got rid of the chicken legend, Danny, their chicken game is nowhere. You know, this McSpicy or whatever it is that they've got at the moment, it cannot compete with the. You know, it was legend by name, legend by nature. They cannot compete with the chicken legend. I'm a McDonald's enthusiast, Danny. So
like Gordon Ramsay, back in your box. Lottie, what do you go for?
Oh, the sweet chili wrap, but it's got to be the crispy one, not the other one.
Wow. I have the triple cheeseburger, no tomato sauce, no mustard, no roll. And they pass it to me and I scoff that fucker down because I'm no carbs, no sugar for 17 days now. And before that, it'd be a cheese quarter pounder. No gherkin, no onion. Do you hear me? No fucking gherkin, no onion. Every time I tell everybody, we know you don't fucking want it. And check it before we drive off.
Are you one of those where they're like, "Can you wait in the bay?" You go, "No, I can't." Because that was my dad's thing. It was notorious when they're like, "Yeah, can you just wait in bay 1?" No, then that would just create havoc. It was that was his special. That was what he liked to do. He loved it. He loved refusing to wait in the bays.
Oh. Stan, we got Stan saying they got Wendy's. Yeah, Stan, we got Wendy's over here now as well, but they're only in like 2 or 3 places.
Yeah,
maximum.
There's like a massive one in Camden now.
Yeah. Yeah, Camden. They used to do the
where the Barclays Bank used to be.
Pop-up. Yeah, they used to do pop-up shops in Camden for Wendy's. I used to get that at the Emirates, but it was only on order, so they got a shop there now. Do you know what I like actually? Funny enough, whenever I go to the West Coast, In-N-Out Burger, and I'm sure we got some American listeners online. They're probably going to tell me it's the worst, but I don't know. It's so different. But yeah, In-N-Out Burger on the West Coast, I love it.
Oh, well, there you go. We've actually got a Wendy's in Huntingdon, and it is fucking diabolical. It's cold and it is rubbery, and I don't like it at all. And I'm not going to have it. I don't care what anybody says. I was trying to find a little video there, but it seems not to have done. Why haven't you downloaded it, you absolute muppet? Download it. Do as you're told. No. Where's it put that?
Everyone's agreeing with the In-N-Out Burger shout on the chat.
Rogan's always on about the In-N-Out Burger. Oh, I'm looking. I need to find a fucking video. I'm trying to download it here. We went to McDonald's in Huntingdon the other day, and it was closed. And there was a rampage, and so this happened. Hold on. Get rid of the writing. Go back to brand, and go this. Tell me to fuck off. And that isn't pants. That's because I didn't have my legs pulled together, and so I was making them. I went in there and I said, "Come on!" I went through this cones, and they would not serve me. And I'm suing them. I only wanted some meat, just some meat-based product, and they wouldn't let me have it. God, this is quickly going off a track, isn't it? Right, another question. This one is, who had the last lady's question? It was you, wasn't it, Femi?
No, it was James.
No, it wasn't.
James, right. There was another one. Where was it? Here we go. For you, Femi. Ryan asks, out of the 3 trophies Arsenal's women are going head-to-head with Emma Hayes' Chelsea, how many do you think we can nick away from her to ruin her send-off before she goes to manage America? Yeehaw!
1 out of 3. No, but
Ooh.
didn't you just say that they lost their best player? So maybe 2 out of the 3. Because they lost their best player, Sam Kerr, you said, right? Yeah, so maybe 2 out of 3. We can maybe take the FA Cup. The league, I think, from what I can see, we do need to improve massively in the league on the first half of the season. Is that good enough answer?
That sounds about right. Considering we had no pre-season, we had 1 week to get our shit together, and then our season started after the World Cup. Yeah, perfect.
Good. And when she's gone next season, will other teams have more of a chance of winning stuff because she's not there?
Yeah, well, it depends. Chelsea women have actually asked for a female coach. So Chelsea are now looking for a female coach for a replacement, which is interesting.
Is that from that diversity bullshit or because it's generally a good idea?
It's generally what the players want.
Fair enough. I agree with that.
There's quite a few male managers in that league, and they're just a load of old shit, basically.
Good.
They're horrible. There's one doesn't understand the concept of rotation. Just don't get it. Same 11 every time.
Played. All right. Well, I got you, Lottie. One from Phil. Is there no one who can play instead of Saka?
Oh, well, you can stick Smith Rowe there. You can stick Trossard there. Who else can play there? Ruel Walters, I think. I think he went off to the Wolves training camp. I thought I saw a photo. I might have to go and check.
He wants a left footer there, so there is no other left footed.
Owen Robin, what's he doing?
I mean,
Jesus
played there against Man City, didn't he? He played all right there.
Well, that's the most mental thing, in that your £50 million striker is a better option on right wing than your wingers that you've purchased. It's just that's just sums us up. He did, he did.
Quite well. He gave who plays left back? He gave Guardiola a torrid time in that game, so I don't see why he couldn't play it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can put Havertz up front, like you said in your earlier chat.
And the final question, I'll have this one. Nikki says, why does every club seem to wait until the last few days of the transfer window to sign or sell anyone? Why not get it done early? Well, Spurs have done it early because they bought players that no one else wanted. And one of them looks like a male model, and the other one is a failure everywhere he's been, apart from his original stint at Red Bull. And it's like James was saying, it's just a game of chicken. Whoever goes first is not going to get the best deal. So they're all waiting at midnight, at the stroke of midnight, and then they're going to go in and raid, and then it's going to be a trolley dash, and everyone's going to end up with players they don't really want, but they're going to get rid of players they definitely didn't want. It's going to be a mess. Right, I think that's it. We're all done. So Lottie, tell people where they can find you on the Twitters and your podcast, and a little bit about who you do it with. We know you do it with Matt, but who else? What else do you do with it?
You can find me at Lottie_AWFC. You can also find me on Vic Akers Wonderland. We predominantly do Arsenal women. We do 2 shows a week. We do try and get other fans on. So if you're interested in coming on, come join us for a preview review. Come join us. We've got a special coming up for our 1-year birthday in the next couple of weeks. So make sure you come and check that out. We will be going live and have an interactive quiz.
Oh, there you go. Short and sweet. James, we all know where we can find you, but in case there's anybody new listening to the podcast, where can they find your your wonderfulness on the Twitters and
Just-
what other pods are you moonlighting on as well as moonlighting here?
Oh, whoever will have me, pretty much. And then, yeah, it's just all at LL Cool James 91. That's where you'll find me. Unfortunately, I saw you had some comments about me having an OnlyFans where I interfere with Throot and play with myself to 80s horror movies. I do not have an OnlyFans where I do this. However, I am open to offers. Money at the end of the day, money is money, and I need to put my heating on. So, if anyone would like a LL Cool James 91 OnlyFans, let me know. According to my chiropodist, I have impeccable feet. So,
lovely. Did you know that person from Facebook? Because I banned them.
I haven't got a Scooby Doo who it is.
Good.
But again, they seem to like me a lot more than I like them. So,
fair enough.
It's all part and parcel of the game. I can't please everybody, Danny. And as I always say, people's tears hydrate me. So that's how I go.
Oh, don't talk to me about hydration. Jesus, it's a mess. Femi, where can people find you? I know you've been here for years. If they want to hear your great takes on Arsenal goalkeepers that have no longer got a future at the club.
I'm here. I'm always here. You know where I am.
What if
you
they're
follow
only
me on
listening?
Twitter if you want. Oh, you can catch me on ABW. You can follow me on Twitter at Femster82. Talking rubbish. Can I just give you a quiz as we're closing?
Go on then.
If I just said to you blank blank, that's the player's name, is fun to watch, but I can only assume defending is not listed on one of his key skills on LinkedIn. Who would you say that was?
Can I go first on that one?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Oleksandr Zinchenko?
No.
No.
Terence
Okay.
Trent Derby?
Yeah, you're in the right ballpark though.
Not Ben White.
No.
Is it an Arsenal player? Yeah.
It is an Arsenal player, but he's not currently at Arsenal. They make it easier for you.
Tavares?
It's fun to watch. Exactly. Nuno Tavares.
Who said this?
That's Nottingham Forest fans, because I just saw him coming off the pitch just now, and I'm wondering how he played tonight.
Yeah.
So I googled his name, and it's just never want to see Nuno Tavares wear a Nottingham Forest shirt again.
Well, because Marseille found out the best way to play him, not left back. I mean, last season at Marseille, he was being dropped for Kolasinac, and Kolasinac scored a goal and got man of the match, playing in the formation they played. And he is not a left back. He is not. He's barely a left wing back.
There you go.
No.
All right, cheers. All.
It is a very sad state of affairs. When's your next show, Lottie?
My next show is on Friday with Adam. We have got an Everton fan joining us for the preview. So the pre-recorded pod will be out on Friday. The one from yesterday is out today. I've just popped that up this afternoon.
Jolly
We'll
good.
look back at our FA Cup round with Arsenal scoring 6 goals. Fortunately, only 5 were for us. 1 was for Watford.
Oh dear, that's a shame. I remember the point I was going to
Our
make
Loney
about
scored against us. It wasn't great,
Not
but she's
nice.
brilliant either way.
The point I was going to make is Josh said that, or John said that whoever Everton owe the money to, they're going to take Everton's new stadium. He was saying that when he Fem.
Oh yeah. What
was
called
that?
777.
Yeah.
Yeah, they keep loaning Everton money, and I said, what happens if they decide not to buy Everton? And Josh said, well, they can just take the new stadium.
And turn it into an Audi or something. Great days. All right, people. Thank you very much. Still, we've babbled on, and we've still only gone 3 minutes over what the time we usually do. That's been very concise. I've enjoyed that. Thank you very much to Lottie, to Femi, to James. Thank you very much to the freeloading scumbags who are watching. I would say give it a thumbs up, maybe give it a comment, maybe even share. But I know none of you can be fucked, so I know none of you are going to do it. So I hope you all get worms. This has been a Bergkamp Wonderland, and we might see you on Friday for a very special short show with me and a certain American. So thank you very much. Up your bum.
As soon as I scored that goal, I was fucking livid. Get down, dog. Splendid business.
You nearly caught the bloody thing. What are you talking about?
So I've just eaten a full quiche. Well, you don't often see them at Ibs, so when you see them in the supermarket, they need to be swagged, microwaved immediately, and get the brown sauce on and bosh, bob's your own.